Good afternoon. Welcome to Facebook Live. Lloyd and I are here just to provide you with some relevant updates regarding the COVID-19 situation here in Kahnawà and in Quebec as well, so that you have the information that you need to be able to make important decisions in your day-to-day life. So firstly, we'd like to give you an update on active cases. So as you've seen over the past few days, the situation is currently stabilizing here in Kahnawà, so we now have 2 active cases. Again, I know that this was spoken about last week, but just to reiterate the fact that we are at a slightly elevated level of risk currently. The situation in Quebec and in the surrounding areas demonstrates that COVID-19 cases are steadily increasing. And what Quebec has announced is that we are at the beginning of a 4th wave. We still are unsure about how bad this 4th wave can get. And so it's really important that we be prepared and that we take measures so that we limit the extent of the 4th wave as much as possible within the community. So what the last few weeks has shown us is that preparation is really important. And again, all through the pandemic, by being prepared, by making important decisions ahead of time, we were able to protect our community. And we want to do the same with this 4th wave. And the last couple of weeks and how quickly our numbers escalated showed us just the potential risk involved with this Delta variant, which was more active here in Kahnawà than anywhere else in Quebec. So we consider that a positive, because it gave us important information to be able to protect each other and protect ourselves, protect our elders, and protect our children. So we have 2 active cases. We're still not out of the woods yet. We're still doing some screening of contacts of those 2 clusters that were related to the Delta variant, and knowing how contagious how transmissible that variant was at the time, we still are at an elevated level of risk, but certainly in much better situation than we were last week or a couple of weeks ago. But again, measures are in place for everyone's protection, knowing that the Delta variant is very transmissible. So just to give a little bit of an update on the Delta variant, we still, researchers, scientists are still learning more and more about this variant. But what we do know, and I think what Dawn expressed last week, is the fact that this is now being looked at almost as not just a new variant, but a new coronavirus. That's how different it is. And it means that we're learning more and more every day about it, about how transmissible it is, how serious it is, how it affects us, how it affects different age groups. This is still all very new, and that's why you're hearing more information about it, and that's why you're seeing measures either go backwards or change over time and quickly, as we saw last March, unfortunately. So we are continuing to follow this information. We're still not in a state of emergency, and we don't believe that that's required. However, we want to reassure you that public health and public safety are still following the progression of the Delta variant here in Quebec and in Kahnawà very closely, so that we're sure to keep you updated and keep you protected. And because of that, we have decided to do a Facebook Live every week, once a week, to be able to give you the most updated information. And of course, if we need to do it more often, we will. So vaccination rates. This next point is really great news. Just to tell you that our vaccination rates continue to increase steadily. So first doses are for 12 to 15-year-olds, 64%, which is up from 59%. And second doses are also at 64%. So this is up from 10.9%. So what we're seeing, therefore, is that all of our 12 to 15-year-olds who received 1 dose also received their 2nd dose. This is really great news, although because we know that with the Delta variant, we require 2 doses for utmost protection. 1 dose is not enough, and 1 dose we're not considered protected for the Delta variant, unfortunately, so 2 doses are required. 64%, however, although great that both doses have been given to the 12 to 15-year-olds, it's still a low percentage for protection. So as you recall, what Dawn mentioned last week is that our original goal was 75% for what scientists call herd immunity, so to protect the community or that particular age group. But with the Delta variant, we're seeing that we require a higher percentage, so closer to 95% vaccination rates for ultimate protection. So we want to increase those amounts, and I'll give you the information on how to get vaccinated when I complete the statistics. So 16 and 17-year-olds, 1 dose is at 87%, which is up from 84.7%. And 2 doses were at 71%, which is up from 55.3%. So again, a steady increase, really positive news. We know that vaccination is our ultimate protection, and so we're really thankful that those numbers are going up. It's also going to have a positive impact on the school year for those 12 to 17-year-old age groups. But again, the higher the numbers, the better. So we're seeing a little bit of a discrepancy here between first and second dose, 87% versus 71%. So we really urge those 16 and 17-year-olds who were our stars at the early onset of the vaccination campaign to come and get your second doses, because that's going to really make a difference for you in the coming months. 18 plus, first dose, 79%, up from 78.5, so that's a really small increase, but we're already pretty high there. And 69% for second dose, which is up from 66.9. So again, a discrepancy of about 10%. Just again, a reminder of the importance of coming in for your second dose, no matter what age you are. And for those who are not vaccinated at all, now is the perfect time. If you happen to want to get into the Quebec lottery, I don't know if any of you are interested, but you need to be fully vaccinated by the end of August. So now is the perfect time to come and get vaccinated. So if you are interested, we are accumulating names of people who are interested in first or second doses so that we can order the vaccines required. For the time being, we're administering the vaccines at the Kahnawà Memorial Hospital, and you can call extension 2295 for your appointment. So speaking of vaccination, Quebec announced yesterday some measures that will be implemented here in Quebec on September 1st, and that is with respect to vaccine passports. So Lloyd's going to speak to you a little bit more about that and give a little bit more details, but I wanted to specifically speak about registration of your vaccine and your need to have access to your QR codes for your vaccine passports. So vaccine passports are going to be used as of September 1st in an effort to minimize closures within the province linked with this elevated risk in the second wave. And we know that we have a few scenarios here in the community right now. Number one, people who receive their vaccines outside of Quebec and therefore their vaccines are not registered in the Quebec databases and therefore unable to get their QR codes. We also have people who were vaccinated here, but yet their information, or for whatever reason, they're not able to access their QR codes. Some of you received your QR codes through email after your vaccine, some of you didn't. So there's a bit of information I want to give to clarify all of this. Number one, our wonderful communication team released on 2 occasions now on the Kahnawake 911 site all of the procedure to have access to your QR code online. So even the link is there, you just have to click on it, enter the information that is asked of you, and your QR code can be uploaded from the Quebec.ca website. This is going to be really important if you want to travel, if you want to have access to non-essential services after September 1st outside of Kahnawake and inside of Kahnawake, so Lloyd will talk more about that in a few minutes. right now, it is only a nurse that can enter the information into the Quebec.ca database. So once you've gone online and you've tried to get access to your QR code, if it does not work, then we will be putting out a procedure for you to make an appointment with a nurse at KMHC so that we can help you gain access to your QR code. It's going to be probably a bit of a whirlwind for the next few weeks, but the process will be released hopefully by the end of the week so that you have all the information you need to get access to your QR code and therefore your vaccine passports. There will also be paper versions available and eligible as a vaccine passport, so we'll give you more information about that once we know more about it. And we also ask that you help your elders, your family members, if they don't have access, anybody who doesn't have access to the internet, that you be there as a support to help everyone get access to their codes as required. And again, we'll be releasing more information about that before the end of the week. I wanted to talk a little bit about travel because as of this week, Monday in fact, there were some changes that were made to travel from the United States into Canada, and we just want to give you updated information so that you're aware. So US citizens that are fully vaccinated are able to come to Quebec or come into Canada now. The most updated information you can find on the Canada.ca, where you'll have access to all of the border rules. You still, if you are traveling, and if you're from Kahnawà, you go into the States and you want to come back into Canada, you still need a negative COVID test, and that is for you to figure out how to do on the US side. And you also have to do, you'll be given a home test to do on your own once you return on day one, and this is if you're fully vaccinated. So anybody who isn't, and fully vaccinated is 2 doses. So remember, fully vaccinated is 14 days post second dose. Anybody who isn't fully vaccinated, the requirements for quarantine, for hotel potentially, for a third test on day 8 are still required. Again, you can get all of that information on the Canada.ca website. And it is your responsibility, if you're going to, to make sure that you understand the rules and what might be expected of you. Unfortunately, depending on the border agent that you meet up with, expectations may vary. So knowing the most stringent rules is probably the best way to be well prepared. Our testing site has been testing many people who are traveling. So we just wanted to make a few clarifications right now because our numbers are increasing at our testing site, and what we had said was that we would continue to help community members if required, as long as we were able to provide that service. But there are some changes that we're making as of today. So anybody who is traveling outside of the province, so going on a plane, having to go to school, traveling for non-essential reasons, we cannot test you at our testing site. So you will have to go to a private site to have those tests done. And the Quebec labs are also refusing to do those tests because the Quebec labs are increasing in numbers, and they need to be able to make sure that their lab technicians are able to do the tests in short periods of time for those who may potentially have COVID. So anybody who's traveling outside of Quebec, outside of Kahnawà, we cannot do your test at the Kahnawà testing site, and nor will it be done at any of the local testing sites in the surrounding cities. Anybody who's coming back from travel, you will receive a box test from the border that you do at home. So the instructions are very clear on that box test. there's a link, and an actual nurse will zoom in from the border, will zoom in with you and take you through the step-by-step process. We do not do those tests at the testing site either. You have to do that on your own. Anybody who needs to do a test on day 8, meaning they've come back from travel, they're not vaccinated, and they have a test, a COVID-19 test to do on day 8, post-travel, we will do at the testing site. So all of this information will be put out in a communique, so you have access to it after today, but those are the specifics right now about the testing site in Kahnawà. Lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about school measures. We've been receiving a lot of calls. We have the Ed Center as well. We met with Robin Delaronde, who has been receiving a lot of calls about what possible measures may be in place for the return to school. So Robin will be coming to speak at a Facebook Live to give you more updated to give you the information as they're arranging it, but we just wanted to reassure the community that measures will be in place, differently perhaps from Quebec, but measures will be in place in our Kahnawà schools for the return to school. As we've said, and as we know, under 12-year-olds still cannot be vaccinated. And therefore, we have a responsibility to protect our children, to protect our educators, to protect our system for now, for the future generations, so that everybody can be as safe as possible. And that's why we're going to have measures in place for the return to school. Measures may be very similar to last year, bubbles, masking, distancing, and such. And there may be more specifics that Robin will discuss with you probably next week. So that's the update that I wanted to provide today. We know that it's really, this is ongoing, and we were hoping that in September we would, not have to be dealing with an uptick in cases regarding COVID, and mental health-wise, it's probably very difficult for all of us. But this is just life as it is, and we go with the flow, and we do the best we can to be safe all around, and that's why we're still here, and that's why we're still providing you with the information to be as protected as possible. However, differently from last year, we are in a really great place because we have so much information and knowledge and ability to put that in place for ourselves so that we can all be safe and move through this next hiccup in the best possible way. So Lloyd's going to present a little bit more information about measures that we will implement here in Kahnawà to try to counteract this next wave that's upcoming, and we hope that that will be helpful to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa, for a lot of information, and as usual, a lot of information that Lisa relayed and I'll be relaying will also be followed by press releases that will be released to media as well as posted on our 911 page. A few areas that I want to talk about, and first, as Lisa was talking about some of the vaccination rates within our community, although we are doing fairly well in terms of first dose and second dose for all those who are eligible, we are for the first time this week dipping behind Quebec. Quebec's numbers are at 84.8% for their first dose and at 72.2% for their second for fully vaccinated, which is a few points higher than Kahnawà. Throughout the whole vaccination process, we were always ahead of the curve. We were ahead of Quebec, ahead of Canada, in terms of the percentage of Kahnawà vaccinated versus Quebec residents. I put this out there to, I guess, a challenge to the community. For those who have not yet received their second dose, please make sure you do so. And for those who have not been vaccinated yet, I certainly encourage you and ask you to reconsider being vaccinated, because vaccination, as I mentioned last week, is still the key moving forward. Although you may be hearing about breakthrough cases in terms of breakthrough Delta variants and people getting COVID after having both doses, no, that's still very rare. And in those cases, people do generally much better if you weren't versus those who are not vaccinated. So it is still in everybody's best interest that the majority of people, a strong majority of people, do get vaccinated, because that is one of the largest keys moving forward. We need to do that again. As to protect, as we've been saying from the beginning of the pandemic, the most vulnerable. The most vulnerable for the longest time, we talked about 70 plus and those immunocompromised, which again, they are still vulnerable. But now, as time went on and things have changed, we do have the under 12 population who are not eligible at this point in time to get a vaccination, so they are also vulnerable. So we gotta look at the young ones and protect them, as well as our elders, to make sure that we do whatever we possibly can to protect those populations, while also trying our best to go about life as normal as we possibly can. But again, getting our population who is eligible vaccinated is the cornerstone moving forward. Although from last week, when I stood up here and we talked about the outbreaks in the community, we were in a very critical state, in which we still are. Even though things have stabilized, we only have 2 active cases as we speak today. With the Delta variant, we've seen firsthand how fast it could spread in the community, and how major impacts could happen very, very quickly. And things tomorrow could be much different than today, and so on. So that's why we keep talking about being vigilant and being careful, and following the health measures as best as you possibly can. And there's a reason why certain restrictions are still in place. There's a certain reason why there's a certain masking criteria in place, again, because we need to take these measures to continue to protect ourselves and our community as a whole. Now, as I'm sure you heard by now, that Quebec is going to be introducing what they're calling a vaccine passport, effective on September 1st. And that's going to be to access certain non-essential services within the province of Quebec. As we mentioned on a couple of occasions before, and through various press releases, we were encouraging Kahnawà to get that, what's called a QR code, so that you could access these services in the event that it would become required. And now it was confirmed yesterday that will be required if you want to access non-essential services. For example, restaurants and outside the Kahnawà, as effective September 1st, that will be a requirement. We also looked at that very closely in terms of how would that impact our community, and what is the rationale and what is the purpose of implementing this vaccine passport. And after examining what's happening and considering the impact on our community, it was decided as a public health and a public safety measure that we will also be implementing the QR code system for Kahnawà. This will be further information. We'll be following this, and as more information becomes available, we will be sharing it with the community, with the businesses that will be impacted by this. But again, it's about non-essential activities in the community, and how that will be determined, and how that will be exactly impact you if you're a business owner, and you as a community member will have more information coming. But I wanted to be clear here today that this is purely for a health reason to implement and follow this process. I know some people have already asked me, like, why would we have to have a Quebec system in place? It is a system that is going to be set up not only for Kahnawake, but across the province. And so we certainly want our community members to benefit from having access to non-essential services outside the territory. And we also want to protect our community internally, because we have to implement something in Kahnawake, because we do not want to have a situation whereby non-vaccinated people will flock to Kahnawake because we don't have a passport system in place. So in order to protect our community, we feel it's important and it's imperative that we follow suit and ensure that our community is protected as best we possibly can. And along with vaccinations, distance and hygiene, and now a passport is going to be something that's going to be implemented in the weeks to come. And this is one step, again, to minimize the spread of the virus. And it's also a very good balance between allowing economics to continue, while also protecting the health of our community and across the province for this matter. Because obviously we see Delta variant is not specific to one area, it's across the world. But this is also a main step moving forward, especially if the situation continues to deteriorate, where it could avoid future lockdowns, it could avoid further restrictions if we ensure that fully vaccinated people are the ones who are accessing various services. And this is no slight against anybody who chose not to, but there's plenty of time for people to access those vaccinations in the coming weeks if you so choose. Again, this is a key component moving forward. No, there is going to be a fourth wave. Even Quebec Ministry of Health talked about it yesterday, saying it is inevitable. We do agree that it is inevitable. How big that wave will be, it depends on many of the factors that we just spoke about, including vaccination. You keep those vaccination rates high, and then this could be a small hiccup. This could be a small bump in the road, and we can continue down that path to recovery. And it's all, again, incumbent upon all Kahnawake to do their part, to follow public health measures. And in this case, when it comes down to implementing the passport system, we will have more information for you. And this will be something that will be a public health measure and will be required, across the board. Again, what businesses this impacts, we will get back them with more information, and we'll be in contact with them directly. But for the current moment, we're not talking about retail establishments, so we will be further assessing where this is going and what is best, within Kahnawake, and what's the best way to implement this within Kahnawake. So with that, I'll leave it there for now. I know there's a lot of information shared here today, and more information to come, and we'll keep you posted. Keep your eyes peeled to our 911 page and other mediums for information, and we'll see you again next week. Onigawahi.